Hello, everyone. Walk Hill Bethelite here. And today we need to talk about something that's very important in our society, and that is the family structure and the roles that different people play within the family. Now, for a lot of people, the family structure is based off of tradition, or you could base it off of the Bible, the Quran, different texts that date back so far that there are certain roles that people need to fulfill in the family. And what we need to talk about is the role of the man. Now, if you're going to base your family off of tradition and or the Bible, you're a Christian, you're a Bible reader, then you need to look at Thessalonians. I believe it's the book of Thessalonians, where they're talking about men who don't work. Even back in Bible times, there were men who did not work, and the opinion of those types of men was important enough for the good Lord to have it recorded in the Bible for everybody to read for thousands of years. It was important enough to express how we should feel about men who don't work that they recorded it in the Bible being something that people are going to read from that time on until who knows how long, thousands of years in the future. People are still going to be reading the Bible's opinion, the good Lord's opinion, God's opinion about men who don't work. The book of Thessalonians, I believe it is, or in the Bible, it states that a man who does not work should not eat. That's how important it was to go into how we should feel about men who don't work. A man who don't work. I'm not talking about a man who doesn't have a job. A man who won't work and a man who doesn't have a job are two different things. Two very different things. I'm talking about you ain't had a job in years. Like a man who won't work, a job that brings in money that can then be used to provide for the family. The Bible says you shouldn't eat. You ain't going to go without a job for long, because eventually you're going to get hungry. The good Lord knows you ain't going without a job for very long, because you're going to want some food. So if you ain't working, then you ain't eating. The two go hand in hand. To live, you need to eat. According to the Bible, to eat, you need to work, not your wife and your kids. To eat, it says man. It didn't say a woman that wouldn't work. Oftentimes then a woman was taking care of the household, taking care of the kids. It said a man who will not work. We're talking about men here who won't work a job, pay bills, put food on the table. You shouldn't eat. Therefore, you shouldn't even be alive. And what the good Lord is telling you, if you don't eat, you ain't going to be alive very long, will you? So The Bible puts it in an eloquent way where if you're a man and you don't work to provide for your family, the Bible puts it in a way that says you shouldn't eat, which will motivate that man to work. But also, if this is a man that continuously won't work, well, good Lord wants us to use our minds. If you don't eat, you ain't going to be alive. You shouldn't even be alive. If you're a man who don't work, you're a waste of human life. You shouldn't even be alive, let alone sitting in the house declaring that you're the king of this house that your wife done paid for. Your wife, and many times, a lot of these men who won't work, they don't just have their wives out working, they've got their kids out working. So you shouldn't even be alive. You shouldn't even be allowed to eat. You ain't even worthy of food, according to the good book. You are not worthy of food. How then could you possibly be worthy of sitting at home, declaring yourself the king of the castle and trying to boss everybody else around, especially people who's working, keeping the lights on, putting food on the table? Because you have men who not only will they not work, but they want to keep the traditional role of a man, of a provider, as the king of the household, the head of the family. Those roles are, let's be honest, those are roles that men like. We like to be the king. We like to be the head of the house. We like when our say goes. But some of these men, they like that part of the traditional role, but they don't like the working part of the traditional role. Now, if you're a Bible reader, you know, even if you don't believe in the Bible, you could be atheist. You know about the Bible, a lot of you, and you know Jesus used strong language for his time. I don't mean I'm about to start cursing, but Jesus called people offsprings of vipers. Yo, offspring of a viper, you think about that, that's sharp language. Those are sharp terms. He told somebody he knew, get behind me, Satan. We don't have the original language that the Bible, we don't have everything original because the Bible had to be translated so many different times. The language for a man who doesn't work is probably stronger. If Jesus is calling people who actually got titles in society offsprings of vipers, he's talking about religious leaders and people that actually have position and title, and he's calling them offsprings of vipers. What would he call a man who's sitting around trying to boss everybody else around, wanting to tell everybody else what to do, but he don't work? Like these, there would be strong language for a person like that. A boy is more suiting. So if you have a boy in the house and this boy want to, for 8 hours, wander around the house doing whatever, meanwhile you got the wife, the woman out working, you got the kids working, you got everybody working except for him. Well, there's a role for someone like that. There actually is a role for someone like that. Now, traditionally, we don't look too highly on that. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that were in tradition that aren't in the Bible. This is a tradition that even made it in the Bible. That Men who don't work ain't ish. You ain't if you don't work. If you ain't got a job, your job should be looking for a job. I remember when I was in New York looking for a job, and I was filling out applications online, and you would get an email confirmation that you filled out and you sent that job application. If you saw my inbox was flooded with jobs that I was applying for. I know what it is like to be looking for work, looking for employment. I know what it's like for the job market to be as it is now, especially with COVID. And for the men who are out there working hard, looking for jobs, they will take any job. They just want a job. This does not apply to them. These are men who will work given the opportunity to work. They just need an opportunity. They just need somebody to say you're hired and they clocking in on the job. I'm talking about these religious men, whether it be Christian, Muslim, what have you. I'm talking about these men who are supposed to be the head of the house. You are the head of the house. You are quote unquote the man, and you don't work. Now, you know, God is a busy person, and God done took time out of his day, his busy day, to make sure it was recorded in the Bible about you bums who won't work. You got your wife stressed out at work, trying to provide for the family, knowing if she don't work, who's going to pay the bills? You got your kids oftentimes trying to not only work, but also go to school. And meanwhile, you sitting on your behind playing PlayStation or Xbox. If your wife can go to work 8 hours, 40 hours a week, even going in there for overtime, and your kids in the same household trying to also provide can go to work 8 hours, 40 hours a week, even work overtime and go to school, what do you look like wandering around the house looking sloppy, and you ain't got a job, you ain't even working part-time? This is a problem in society because these men are bums, but they call themselves the king of the household because they're misquoting tradition, misquoting scripture. That's not what it says in the Bible anywhere, that a man who don't work is the king of the house. Man who don't work is the head of the household. The role of the man is clear. He's supposed to be to his family what Christ was to the congregation, and Christ wasn't sitting at home playing no PlayStation and Xbox and watching TV and stomping around making noise while your wife, who done been busy working all day, comes home worrying about what she's going to eat. Let's talk about the role of the housewife. That's the role of the man who he got a family and he don't work. Well, you have reversed the roles. You have reversed the roles. You don't just get to stay home, wandering around playing PlayStation and yelling at other people, talking about other people, fixing your mouth to talk about somebody else. When not only does the Bible say you should not eat if you don't work, some of y'all overweight. Some of y'all eating too much and you don't work. The Bible is clear. If you a man, you shouldn't be too afraid to hear the truth. You a man, you need to sit down and you need to listen to the words that's coming out of my mouth. Job. Let that vibrate throughout the universe. Bounce off the ozone layer and come back and vibrate through your fat rolls. Get off the couch. Get a job. Don't worry about nobody else. Because some of these men, quote unquote men, I call them boys, that don't work, got something to say about everybody else. They got they nerve to be talking bad about their wife who works. I want to be verbally abusive. You want to be verbally abusive and your wife work 8 hours a day? You want to be yelling at your kids and you ain't got no job, but they work and go to school? You need to shut up, sit down, cook dinner, cook breakfast, cook lunch, or prepare lunch, whatever you want to call it. Meals need to be prepared because that's your role. Your role ain't to be running your mouth. Shut up. If you a man who don't work, but your wife goes to work, your kids work, you need to be the housewife then. That or don't eat at all. According to the Bible, you're a waste of life. Then you need to be the housewife. Or we could call it the house husband. Now, I've known some guys who were good house husbands. They stayed home and they watched about 5, 6 children, kept them fed, kept them cared for, kept them clean, kept meals cooked, and kept the house and yard cared for, and took care of the chores, the running around, the getting this and getting that, so that their wife, after working hard for 8 hours, could come home, have a meal, and relax. I've talked to some of these guys, and some of them are cool. They're happy. They're smiling. The house is cared for. Everybody in the house is cared for. And they're not complaining. They're not yelling at nobody. They're not calling nobody names. They don't have nerve to be talking about nobody else in that household. They fulfill their role. They smile. They're happy when the wife comes in from working hard, or the kids come in from working hard, and they got meals prepared. And these are guys who are taking care of 4 or 5 kids. That's a job in of itself. There's some men who they may not have kids in the house to take care of, or they may just have one child to take. That's all they got to do is take care of one child. Can you do that? Can you at least do that? If some of you guys only got 1 or 2 kids to take care of, and you ain't got no job, can you at least take care of the kid, prepare a meal? For the longest time, this is work that women have done. And they've been able to get this done for centuries. So if you're a man, you should at least be able to take care of the job of a housewife. Not out running around, you shouldn't be talking to no other woman. I don't know why another woman would even talk to you. You should be in the house, happy, smiling. You ain't got no reason to be angry. You got some of these guys who don't have a job and sit at home playing PlayStation all day. They got their nerve to try to be a tyrant. They want to yell at other people in the house. They want to be verbally abusive to people in the house. You ought to be the happiest person in the world because you ain't got no job. You ain't got nothing to do all day but prepare meals, cook, clean, put your apron on, and provide for the family that way. You ain't got nothing else you got to worry about but vacuuming, mopping, dusting, folding clothes, doing laundry, preparing meals. You ought to be the happiest man in the world, because if women could do the job for hundreds of thousands of years, you should be able to do that job and be happy and shut up and do it. I've seen guys who will be playing PlayStation and then their wife pulls up from work and then they eyes get big and then they want to jump up, hurry up to cut the TV off, hurry up and cut the PlayStation off, and then try to go and act like they done did some dishes. The dishes should be done by the time your hardworking woman gets home. And some of y'all ladies need to put your foot down. Because if you got to worry about bills being paid, if you got to go out and work full time, and you got a man and he don't work, you need to demand that he respect your house. That's your house, not his. I don't care if you put his name on a damn lease or you put his name on the mortgage or whatever. That's your house. He needs to respect your house. He don't get to come home, wandering around, talking about he the man, telling other people what to do. Sit down, all sprawled out, legs all wide, like he just this. That's men who work that do that sort of thing. You ain't got no job and you ain't even trying to really get a job, or you talking about you gonna work and you've been saying this for years or for a really long period of time, then this is what you need to do. You need to fulfill that role in the family. There's different roles. You ain't working, so you need to fulfill the role of the housewife. And I don't know how many times I went to listen to somebody talk on the Bible, preach on the Bible, whether it be Kingdom Hall Church or what have you, and they say that the wife, the person that fills that role, whether it be the housewife or the house husband, house man, house boy, whatever, the house needs to be peaceful. Your role is to make sure that that woman comes home to a peaceful household. This woman been out working. She been working hard. All these men, when they go out and work hard, they expect that their wife is home, has all the work done, and that everything is peaceful and calm, and they can come home to somebody that is going to be their peace when they've been out dealing with that harsh world. Just because you got, something different in between your legs doesn't mean that that's any different for you if you're the house husband or the housewife, whatever you want to call it. And you need to be the one who is the calm for that woman when she comes home. You don't need to be out hollering at the kids, hollering at her, hollering at random people. You need to shut up, have meals prepared, have the kids taken care of, sit down and be the nurturer of the family. Everyone should feel comfortable around you because that's your job. That's your role. I don't want to hear nothing else about men who don't work but are the traditional tyrant, loud, I'm the king of the household, what I say goes. How is a man who don't work going to instruct children, and these children work and go to school? That don't even sound right. Because you now have the lowest role really of the family, because even the kids are providing. How are you going to yell at somebody who, if they wasn't working, you wouldn't have no lights to let alone be playing PlayStation? You wouldn't have no lights to even see at night. How are you going to yell at somebody else? So we really need to talk about this, because you got people who are religious and they want to have titles. They want to be elders. They want to be ministerial servants. They want to have different positions in the congregation, but they don't want to work. At home, they don't want to work. They want to sit at home all day. You can work. You can get a job from working from home. You get a job working on a computer. You get a job standing there saying hello to everybody at Walmart, welcoming people. Right now, there's grocery stores and electronic stores that got greeters. They got greeters everywhere. If you're disabled, I got a word for you. It's called forklift. You sit on a forklift and the forklift does the work. If you're a man, there really ain't no excuse for you not to have some job. You could be flipping burgers. You could be delivering pizzas. From my understanding, during certain times of the year, you make good money working for Pizza Hut, delivering pizza delivery. See, Uber, driving people around. See, there's a factory around the corner somewhere hiring anybody who puts their name on an application. See, if there's all these opportunity, then the man should be working, period. You should have at least a part-time job. Add something to the family other than stress. Some of these guys are like kids. This is somebody the wife and even sometimes the children got to be worried about. They got to be worried about some trifling man who don't do nothing really they add more stress to the lives of the people in the family. That's not the role of the house husband. House husband need to have the meals cooked, house clean, chores done, and be keeping the peace in the family, keeping everybody calm, being relaxing, being nurturing, not being loud, not yelling at no TV, not having no beer bottles everywhere, none of that. And you ladies need to demand the same thing that women had to go through for thousands of years. Men who don't work should be going through the same thing. You come home, demand this dinner be cooked. Don't have your kids cooking. You at work, your kids are working, and you have your kids cooking, and you got this man that don't do nothing. There should be somebody that you can call that come get them types of guys. Like, just come pick them up and euthanize them, or, you know what I mean? Put them to sleep or something. You know how you got dog catchers? That should be part of their job. Dog catchers. People who you call to come pick up these worthless pieces of shit or excrement, excuse my language, worthless pieces of excrement. There should be somebody you call, show the proof that this dude don't work and he can't even handle the house of a house husband without complaining and running his mouth. There should be somebody you call that comes with that little stick with the rope on it, put the rope around his neck, pull him, put him in the van with the other dogs, and go put them all to sleep. Put them to sleep. I like dogs. And they get put to sleep by these dog catchers and whatnot. I don't like guys that don't work and want to be tyrants and want to act hard and got all the tattoos and whatnot, and they ain't even got a job. I've known guys I've worked with at factories who they were the weakest person there, but they in this gang and that gang, and they can't even run the machine. I can run the machine. People twice their age can run the machine, but they too lazy to run the machine, but they want to act macho and manly and all this. And these poor women get tricked into relationships with these men. That should be part of the marriage contract. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. 937-789-4029. We'll discuss it. X-Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.